and welcome to Experts Corner. This is MAHEEN JAFRI. Well, we all know about the Pakistan's war on terrorism. It's a long and tiring fight, yet Pakistan faces challenges not only internally but externally as well. And we know about the Balochistan terror attack, which happens to be a very coordinated attack, and where we know that 17 law enforcement personnel, including police, frontier corps, navy official, were martyred. Civilians casualties stand at 31. More than 40 terrorists have been sent to hell. And Pakistan also always keeps saying and presenting this evidence to the world that Pakistan has credible sources and evidence, solid proof that India and Afghanistan have the footprint in these attacks, and India is basically exploiting these terror networks to destabilize Pakistan. We will be discussing at how Pakistan can counter these terrorist attacks while addressing the regional tensions at the same time. Now, our second segment would be about the US and Iran tensions. We know both these countries are standing at a critical moment in time, and there's a lot of military buildup. At the same time, diplomatic outreach possibilities as well. Washington has deployed massive military assets. Amid escalating tensions, Tehran has warned any US attack could trigger a wider regional war. At the same time, both these countries are signaling possible diplomatic engagement. US officials have expressed willingness to negotiate, and Iran indicates cautious openness to talk under the right conditions. Mediation efforts by countries like Turkey, they aim to bring two sides together for them to be able to conduct a dialogue. And this is the moment right now which seems to be very unpredictable. We need to see whether the dialogue is going to take place or the tensions further escalate. To have further analysis, we've been joined by Mr. Farrukh Pitafi in our studio and all Brigadier retired Shahid Jagir, defense analyst. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining in.
Thank you.
Brigadier Jagir, starting with you, we know the Balochistan attack has been very coordinated one, and we know there has been quite a lot of death toll, including the security personnel. First of all, your comment, because we know that Pakistan has been fighting a war against terrorism since decades now. What is your comment on the latest attack from Balochistan?
This is again a very, very cowardly act by PLA, which is supported by our arch enemy India, and they are using the soil of and individuals of Afghanistan. The government and the law enforcement agencies have been after them on intelligence-based operations, which have been conducted over the period of time. But this attack seems to me a frustration on the part of the PLA and their handlers, whether it is the local or the raw. I would openly say that they were frustrated by the intelligence-based operation in which they were being taken on by the law enforcement agencies. And on the other hand, the provincial government has launched a big development program for Balochistan, which was turning the local people against these terrorists. So that seems to be that they were frustrated, and they launched attack on the military installations, FC installations, and the civil government offices, which shows that this was a de-hearted attack by them to keep them alive and show to the people in the world that they are still on the ground. But on the other hand, if you see that they were not only very effectively countered, and a number of them have been killed. 147 is the total straight of these BLA people which has been killed successfully by the law enforcement agencies. And on a number of places where they have tried to launch the attack, they could not enter in any of the compounds. That shows that the security forces and the law enforcement agencies in the province were totally alert, and they beat them back. Uh, we are seeing a lot of videos on social media backed by Indians that they had looted a number of banks, but was only one bank which was there in Quetta, which was in which they shot out an RPG. So the situation is not as grim as has been portrayed. The security forces have very effectively have checked them, and I used to say that the Pakistan Army and the law enforcement agencies, kinetic action has taken a turn, a strategic turn has come up where it is now the BLA and the TPP, they are on the run. And as you see that their commander was reportedly from unidentified resources was there in Karan or Dalbadin or some of that area. He was not able to come ahead of that because he knew that he will be taken on. So that's what the situation is at the moment. Inshallah, we will take on them and fight them, as the Prime Minister, President, and the Field Marshal has very categorically said that they will go even to the last, till the time the last man is not taken on of BLA, they will not be resting on this. There is no question that they can enter into a place like Quetta city and the different tehsils and districts of
Yes, that
Quetta.
you are actually talking about various places as well. I wanted you to comment on the topography and also the terrain problems that might have actually been helping the terrorists so far. Of course, Balochistan is 44% of Pakistan's total territory. It is a land, huge land mass, and one has to actually look at the way these elements still have managed to survive. What are the geographical reasons why they haven't been taken out so far, and what do you think needs to change now so that they can be eliminated?
Look, you're absolutely right. There are many factors. The terrorists are those who mingle up with the local population. They are with the local population, and they portray themselves to the local population that they are amongst them. But actually, they are the sleeping cells. Till the time they do not get the orders from the handlers, they don't do anything. So one is that. Second is that Balochistan is a big province, our biggest province as far as the landmass is concerned, and it is a rugged mountain. The means of communications are less. So they take advantage of this thing. No doubt, the law enforcement agencies have gone in for on the intelligence-based operations, and it is just the geography which you want to refer, that they are taking advantage of this. But this time, this is, they have come to the civilized area. So that is the seem that they are now frustrated because targeted operations are being conducted on the basis of electronic intelligence, human-based intelligence, and cyber-based intelligence. So that's why they want to show to their handlers and their facilitators that they are still on the ground and they are taking the action against them. But at the same time, they have also shown that they can enter into the Quetta city, but they will not go unpunished. That's what the bottom line is. And that's what the law enforcement agencies have shown, that they will have they will pay a big price for this, as the number of casualties which have gone in of these terrorists. It clearly manifests that a very heavy price will be paid by them.
Right, Brigadier Jagir, also we know that BLA has released a video of a woman, suicide bomber, right before she dies. She's mocking the armed forces. What does it tell you about them, these sort of activities, brainwashing the innocent minds, and what can we as a government do to stop this? Because this is happening more now, more than usual.
Yeah, provincial government and the federal government is doing a lot in that. In that, they are addressing to the students. They have launched number of major projects in the province for winning the hearts and minds of the people. The communication system has been improved over a period of time. The medical system has improved over a period of time. Schools have been functional over a period of time. But you see, these terrorists are the one who play with the psychology of the individuals, those who are part of them. They indoctrinate them in such a way that their followers think that that's the right way. Otherwise, a normal human being can't do that. And the uneducation, unfortunately, in Afghanistan, Balochistan, is too much, and the means of communications are less. So that's why that we see that the youngsters and now especially the women have been also part of them, because they indoctrinated. Because they don't think that they are the terrorists, they think that they are doing for the right cause. But it will take time. Government is doing a lot of things, and there are a lot of efforts which needs to be done in this. Uh, and we have seen, not in this attack, but in attack in Karachi, also we have seen that women were involved. But this is the part of the game. This is the when the terrorist activities go on, this do happen, and the nation must stand by the government and the law enforcement agencies and bravely counter it. Pakistan is a very resilient country. We have seen the Afghan Jihad from the last four decades or so, and we have stood it. And inshallah, with the help of the brave people of Balochistan, Pakistan government and the security agencies and the law enforcement agencies will overcome this, inshallah.
Right. Brigadier Saab, I'm really glad that you are focusing on propaganda as well and how to fight that. Now, there is also the matter of terror apologists. And I'm talking about this entrenched class of useful idiots who sit in Islamabad, elsewhere, and immediately, whenever something of the same sort happens, they start actually empathizing with the terrorist and start actually speaking about political reasons. And this used to happen with TTP also, before the government of Pakistan in 2014 decided to take on not only the terrorists but also terror apologists. Do you think that this argument that they present, that there is a political solution, now stands exposed and it should be end of that illusion?
I don't think so. Look, when somebody comes to you and hungry for your neck, there is no political solution. The political solution is only when you come on the table, you are a decent personality, you believe in the diplomacy. It is only when then that there is a political solution can be devised of. At the moment, we see when they are killing our children, our innocent civilians, and creating a terror in the provincial capital, that is Quetta, and in the other capitals, district capitals. So how can you talk to these people? That's very surprising argument which one sees on the ground. Yes, there is a chance given to them previously, but they do not come to that because the terrorist mind is such that they do not believe on diplomacy. They do not believe on the talk. They believe in the voice of the gun. So when the voice of the gun is the solution, then probably that's the end of the discussion. So political leaders are talking about that. Uh, they should come up with the solution. Government is and the law enforcement agencies are very clear in this. They don't want to slain the Pakistani people for no rhyme or reason. There is a reason for that. When they will create a law and order situation, they will kill the people, and it's a duty of the state constitutionally. It's a duty of the state to protect their life, property, and the human rights of the individual. So why don't these people, those who talk about the political solution, why don't they talk to the BLA that they should come up? Now, you see that the Balochistan has a very a unique problem. There is a lot of development going on over there. CPAC is over there. Gwadar, which is the deep sea port, only deep sea port in Arabian Sea so far. So that's the reason that they do not want to develop that. It is India which does not want that because that hampers its economic activity.
And now let us talk about India's influence because that is very important. We have repeatedly seen government of Pakistan not only talking about India's involvement but also producing evidence. I remember that we even produced receipts of Indian Bank of Punjab from where monies were transferred to Afghanistan and to Baloch separatist terrorists. Similarly, we have repeatedly seen that there is a lot of evidence, and India's media and social media always start reporting as if to foreshadow such an event. Before it happens, they start actually talking about it. But there is a very important issue regarding money trail. There must be some source of money that is coming in even now. So how to actually stop it and how to expose it to ensure that these elements, these terrorists don't actually keep on increasing in number. India has deep pockets, but we need to stop them, right?
Yeah, you are absolutely right when you say that. One thing is very clear that India is our arch enemy right from our birth. But its Hindutva policy, and especially the present leadership of India, does not want any stone unturned to malign Pakistan and degrade Pakistan politically, economically, socially, law and order. So that's the theme of the Indian political leadership. One. Second, you see that they are getting the vote bank through the enmity with Pakistan. You see that they have lost a war with us, but they have immediately launched 2, 3 such movies in the Bollywood that that will divert the attention, and they want to make sure that the truth does not come out. The third thing is that their own army, air force chiefs have said that the Indian government is not doing enough for the armed forces of their country, and the local industry is the local defense industry has a collaboration with the political system of India. So that is as far as the Indian is concerned. Now, coming on to the CPAC, CPAC minerals are rich minerals in Balochistan are bothering as far as the India especially is concerned. The CPEC, if developed, this will turn the fate of the Pakistan, and the biggest portion of the CPEC is through the Balochistan, and that is why they are they are funding, training, and recruiting the Balochistan individuals, which are have some doubts about the Pakistan.
Absolutely, Brigadier Retired Shahid Jagir. There are important developments that are happening, and CPEC is one of the flagship projects. Gwadar is there, of course. Many important things happening. Thank you so much for joining our show and for giving us your time. Farrukh Pitafi, how would you comment on this coordinated, this attack that has been one of the deadliest in Balochistan?
Right. Thank you very much, Maheen, for the question. I think that first of all, one should condemn this dastardly act. Also, one should compliment and praise Pakistan's armed forces, Pakistan's law enforcement agencies who have fought back so bravely and restored peace once again. That is one thing that needs to be said as much as possible. Secondly, I think I call it end of illusion. All those delusion masters who sat on television and kept on obfuscating facts, who kept on saying that somehow these people are our strange brothers. Take it from a fellow Baloch. I am a Baloch also. I tell you, this cannot stand. All that propaganda, all that delusion that was caused by these useful idiots now stands exposed. The fact is, these people only keep on killing, and they are killing innocent people. 31 people were killed, including women and children. Locals were targeted also. How is that acceptable? So now the battle has to be in the most aggressive attrition format, and one has to ensure that we stand behind our armored forces. Secondly, regarding resources that these monsters seem to be getting, if you look at the propaganda videos of BLA, in most videos, especially when it comes to their promotional or induction videos, in that they actually have uniforms now. They have very high-class weapons, and they even have emblems. So how do they get that? It all is coming from India. We know that. We also know that Afghan soil has been is being used, and we also know that at least once, Iranian soil was also once used, because we found a terrorist, an Indian agent who had actually used Iran to reach
Farrukh,
Pakistan.
like you said, they have now uniforms. They have, I was quite amazed to see the video, because the lady was actually in a uniform, and the way she was, it seemed like the militants were kind of using this as a step forward, trying to move forward, trying to maybe give a message, because this was, to me, this was very surprising. It was not a very, conventional kind of, it was a very armed, equipped type of a woman who was there to threaten and mock, and to me it was very unusual. So just like you said, how can Pakistan make efforts to stop such things? And I think social media now needs to be more than active, more than ever.
First of all, let us ask all our citizens, right? Baloch are our citizens also, to stop watching, and I will request you also to stop watching such propaganda videos, right? It is very important, because every time you allow those videos or those videos to reach you, you are platforming them. So first of all, it is very important to stop doing that, right? And you are absolutely right. What I was actually hinting at was that these guys are getting monies, and those monies can be traced back to India. First of all, we have to actually cut off the supply of monies to these snakes. Once that is done, then we can actually take on them and destroy them one by one as quickly as possible. So it is very important. And then, of course, countering this propaganda is very easy. There are so many Baloch who are always ready to speak out against these monsters. So just request them to actually keep on coming with as much as possible. By the way, those vans that they kept on showing being looted, or van for that matter, that also was Balochistan's money, an ordinary, national's money, an ordinary citizen's money. Those motorcycles which were being destroyed were also of common man. So one needs to ask, why are you punishing the common people of Balochistan if you claim to be Baloch? So all these things can be done, but one thing is for sure. Now the war will have to be taken to them, and all these people who sit on your television screens, your airtime, and tell you that there has to be a political solution, these monsters will not understand any kind of political jargons. They are only baying for blood, and they are being paid, and that is why it is happening. So cut that off. Without their resources, they are nothing.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much, Farrukh Pitafi. This was an important segment where we discussed the Balochistan attack. It was one of the deadliest attacks. There was a very, it was a very organized effort. It was a very coordinated effort. And like Farrukh Pitafi said, kudos to the brave armed forces of Pakistan, our military, our law enforcement personnel who not only got martyred in the line of duty, but also there were women and children. And more than ever, what's happening is they're including more young minds, and they're trying to put them as their force. So this is on us not to watch and not to propagate such videos and stop them right in their tracks, because it is high time that we as a Pakistani nation should stand behind our brave armed forces and fight this propaganda with as much bravery. Now we come to the second segment of our program, which was of course about the most important development happening right now internationally, the US and Iran tensions, which have been escalating over the past few weeks. We've been watching different developments. There have been military assets being deployed, and of course Tehran has warned of any action coming from the US would be met with equal and strong response. Now at the same time, both these countries are signaling some kind of diplomatic engagement as well, some kind of diplomatic breakthrough as well, and US officials are willing to negotiate. At the same time, Iranians are also saying that they are kind of open to talk, but under the right condition. So Farrukh Pitafi, where is the situation actually going? This seems like a 50-50 situation. We're not very sure of whether the dialogue is going to ease the tension, or is it going to be the military tension, keeping the entire region on the edge.
Thank you very much, Maheen, for this question. On that count, I have good news for you. There is a scheduled meeting between American and Iranian sides in Turkey, most likely this week. And in that, they are going to mostly stick to, the nuclear talks. That means if that succeeds, eventually there's going to be some relaxation in the sanctions, which are causing so much economic pain in Iran. So in coming days, there's going to be talk. Of course, the US government and US military in the region has amassed this armada in this region to put as much pressure as possible. But I think that Iranian president has also greenlit the talks, so the talks are going to take place. Let us hope in coming days we see that they progress in the right direction. If that happens, as long as the US is talking, I don't think it will be possible for Israel to once again try to start something which is going to be painful. That is why they are taking it out on poor defenseless Gazans.
Absolutely.
But on Iran front, I think that there is progress which is being made.
Farrukh, what are the red lines or the demands made by both these countries, presented before they start negotiating or, talking or being on the dialogue table?
Right. If you remember that before Trump won presidency, the first presidency, there used to be a nuclear deal between the US and Iran, and it was called JCPOA. So JCPOA had certain deadlines. There was a certain limit to which enrichment was allowed. Before, beyond that, it was not allowed. But I think that this time that level further will come down. I think that this time the entire nuclear program is going to be negotiated because the circumstances are dire, and Iran is in a very painful financial situation. But the great thing about this time is that once an economic deal is actually achieved, the economic situation can then become better, and the real can improve, and then the economic conditions for a common man on the street can also go back to normal days.
And Farrukh, at the same time, the economic situation will improve. What about the regional stability if these two are successful between both these countries? Which you were mentioning that Trump will be negotiating about the nuclear, but you know, Trump clearly said no nuclear. What does he mean by no nuclear?
Yeah, the fact is that last time the whole argument that Israel actually presented, and Israel was actually lobbying, if you remember, JCPOA was signed between Obama administration, P5+1, if you remember, that was the formula. And with that, they still had some kind of level of allowance for a nuclear program. But then Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, against the wishes of Barack Obama, went to the US Congress, and there he claimed that Iran is days away from making nuclear warheads. So with that, of course, he kept on doing it, and eventually during the first Trump presidency, he managed to actually dissuade the US president from continuing that deal.
Right. Farrukh Pitafi, you were explaining something regarding, you know, JCPOA, and then you were,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, so Israel then managed to convince the US president that Iran was very close to, you know, starting its, reaching its, you know, military nuclear level. So at that time, the whole deal was scuttled. But now, this time, it seems after the attack on Fardo, it seems that now the entire program is on, you know, on the chopping block. And given the circumstances, I think that there will have to be some concessions made.
Right. Farrukh Pitafi, how do you think our global markets are, you know, especially oil prices are reacting to the possibility of either a diplomatic breakthrough or a conflict both?
Well, if there's a diplomatic breakthrough, there's going to be some sigh of relief because, of course, Iran is an important oil producer, and that is not all. Strait of Hormuz is also very important, right? Because of that, everybody has to actually look at the state of affairs and worry what happens to the oil market if there is some kind of war. But if there is peace and there is some kind of breakthrough, that means that you know, oil prices will further stabilize, and that means also that one very important player will also join the global market, because right now Iran is not formally allowed to join it, and it is totally sanctioned and isolated. So if that isolation ends, things start improving for everybody.
Right. Farrukh, how much of a role do you think is, you know, the internal situation and the protests and the kind of conflicts that were happening in Iran is playing a part in, you know, positioning Iran in these negotiations right now?
I think for those attack, then what happened in Venezuela and whatever is kept on happening inside Iran, all has played a very important part in convincing government in Tehran that there has to be some concession from their side also, especially because we have seen that Israel has gone really bonkers with their you know, nature and the way they actually kept on pushing war from one country to the other. After that, if some kind of solution has to be found and Israel's this aggressive posture has to be broken, the only best solution is through negotiation. So I think that all those three developments, internal and external, they played a very important role in convincing both sides that they have to come to the table.
Right. Farrukh, there has been a certain distance from Iran when it talks about negotiation. It is always saying that it should be fair and it should be equitable. What does it mean by that, firstly? And how would it shape the future or the structure of the future dialogue?
Yeah, on one side is the talk of nuclear program itself, because Iran says that it is fully entitled to a civilian nuclear program, right? And the only problem is because Israel has this massive propaganda capacity, it keeps on convincing the world that Iran can always use its civilian program to actually divert it to its military purposes, and that becomes a problem. So Iran says respect our civilian nuclear rights, and that was being done under JCPOA when the whole deal actually come apart. So that is going to be one aspect. The second one is, of course, regarding its defenses, other defenses which are non-nuclear. For example, its missile program, because that also there's pressure that it might have to actually give it up. I don't think that it will come to that, but let us see what happens. Third, of course, is its economic policies. It seems that there's always this pressure also that whenever there's going to be a deal, so there might be some kind of dictations. So Iran says that that will not be acceptable. But apart from that, I hope that in coming days we see genuine, readiness on both sides to actually mend fences and find a mutually beneficial solution.
Hopefully, Farrukh, we were talking about the reaction of Israel, how is it reacting and how it's going bonkers. What about the countries, the other allies, for example, Russia or the Gulf countries, how are they reacting to the situation? What is their perspective and how would their perspective play a role in the dialogue which is about to happen between both these countries?
Yeah, Russia's reaction during Israel's previous attack, right, last year, on Iran came as a surprise. One was expecting that at least Russia is going to actually step in, because Russia has been supported by Iran during Ukraine war. They actually handed over a number of drones as well to Russia. But that Russian help never came. So it was surprising at that time. I don't think anything has changed. Regarding other powers, for example, China has its own peaceful rise, so it does not actually get into any kinetic conflicts. We haven't seen any example. So that was something. Of course, when it comes to Arab countries, before Israel's attack, the nature or perception in Arab world was very different of Iran, because at that time, if you remember, it had very, sprawling network of proxies throughout the Arab world. Iran had that. But one by one, they were cut to size, and because of that, the situation has changed, and Iran is being viewed as less of a problem, and Israel has become, after what happened in Qatar, where they attacked. After that, the situation seems to have changed. So there are more voices in support of, preserving sovereignty of Iran than those that were there only 1 year ago.
Okay, Farrukh, we are all looking forward to these talks, and we are all, hoping for peace and negotiations and for dialogue to happen. But what are the lessons, if we look at the previous round of talks between US and Iran, what are the lessons that they have learned, and how can that shape the future structure?
Iranians are very good negotiators, that I tell you. They have been very effective negotiators, and that's what they managed to get JCPOA. But one thing that is not negotiation, and that is a lesson for any country, and that is actually regarding its influence network that was in Arab world. Never expand yourself in such a way that it becomes difficult to manage, and also it offends your potential allies. Because of Arab Spring and because of the Iraq invasion of the US in 2003, because of that, the entire region was already unhinged, and Iran seemed to have actually tried to expand its influence there, which has actually alienated a lot of Arab world. And that was a critical mistake, I think, for any country. When you do that, it always can boomerang, and that is what happened. I hope that Iran has learned from that and it does not go in that direction any longer.
Absolutely. Farrukh, how anxious should be a country like Pakistan be when we talk about 900-kilometer of border with Iran? Of course, we are, looking for peace and diplomatic breakthroughs, but can Pakistan play a role as a mediator or, be a part of the negotiations so that we can have less of problems? We are already having a lot on our plate.
Yeah, I think that our Turkish brothers have already, started playing that role. So regarding what you were saying, how anxious should we be? I tell you, as much as one cares about Irani people, and I have never met a single Irani who hasn't been exceptionally kind and sweet and, very good human being. So I really care about what happens to Iranian people, right? But regarding the security environment, I can tell you that Pakistan has this standing army, our own security environment, and we know how to protect ourselves. That is less of a concern for me, what happens there, except that what happens to our brothers in Iran. So that is a concern. But regarding negotiations, of course, Pakistan has been playing its part for quite some time. If you remember that when Qasem Soleimani was assassinated, after that there was a huge crisis, and at that time a plane was also shot down. At that time, Pakistan played a very important role. Pakistan once again recently, last year also played a role. So we do what we can, but one shouldn't be. I keep on seeing Pakistani media always going bonkers as well. I don't think we need to worry too much.
Absolutely. Farrukh, what are we expecting really? Because if we look at Trump's unconventional diplomacy, his unpredictable style, and there are equal, there are possibilities. There is a deployment as well. At the same time, they're open. So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, look, regarding President Trump, I know everybody keeps on saying whatever they want to regarding President Trump. I keep on reminding everybody that he might be channeling President Nixon's madman doctrine, right? That is a legitimate doctrine where you actually make yourself unpredictable, and because of that, your enemies, your rivals are always under pressure. But having said that and acknowledging that, one should remember that there is a major element of rationality behind what he is doing. So I trust his judgment. The only thing is that at this moment, if there is an irrational actor, it is Israel. And I don't wish, it might be an enemy in many cases, but even with the countries it is allied to, I would not wish such an ally upon my worst enemies. Because even as an ally, it is a destructive force, and it has been undermining the US as much as possible. So for the US president to control such a bully in the region, especially which has so much influence within its own quarters through lobbying efforts, that is difficult. But I do trust President Trump's judgment, and I am hoping that in coming days we see massive relief for people of Iran.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Farrukh Pitafi. This was an important segment of Iran. There has been rising tensions. Both these countries are standing alert. But we also know that they are going to be sitting on the table for the dialogue. And we also know that Iranians are very good, just like Farrukh Pitafi mentioned, at making deals and negotiations. At the same time, we know that President Trump has a very unconventional style, and he's, not going by the book. So let's see what happens, how both these countries negotiate with each other. We are hoping for peace, and we are also hoping for a much relief that is needed for the Iranian people. This is all for tonight's show. It's Maheen Jafri signing off. Stay tuned to Pakistan TV.